Welcome to If People Only Knew, the show that brings untold stories to light. I'm your host, Anna Matson. Let's get started. Welcome to the show. Today, you guys just get me. You don't get anyone else. So hopefully I can keep you entertained by myself. It's so easy for me to talk to other people. I can just sit down and I don't really have to have an outline or anything, but it's really hard to just talk to yourself. But I'm going to attempt to do that today and hopefully you guys follow along. I did take some notes. Typically, I don't actually use my notes, but I'm going to try to stay on task today. So this whole episode is about this last year because my birthday is Saturday. So I think it's just a good time to kind of review the year, especially because something big happened last year on my birthday. So just to kind of look back at what's happened, I think it's going to be really fun. I also want to talk about how I got into politics. I realize I talk a little bit here and there with different people on different podcasts and stuff, but I thought it'd be cool to just sit down and tell you why I'm doing this and have it all in one episode and what my future holds. We'll get into that later. So, starting with how I got into politics. I actually went to school for marketing. I live in Michigan and I went to Central Michigan for college, and really everyone who graduates with marketing at Central goes to Dow Chemical. And I didn't want to do that. That was not what I thought my life wanted. I just didn't think that's what I wanted for my life. So it seemed very boring. I don't want to just sell chemicals, stuff like that. So I really, really liked market research. So surveys and, study groups and stuff. Like I just love research because it's like a puzzle you have to solve when you have certain questions. And I love digging into things and feeling like, oh, I found it. I found that one thing I needed. And here we go. It tells a story. It completes the full picture. And I actually thought I wanted to do retail consumer behavior because I worked retail for years before everything else. And I wanted to work at a corporation and do consumer behavior research to see how we can get people to buy more things. But then I quickly was like, I don't know. We buy way too much stuff. We consume way too much stuff. And I really didn't want to be a part of that. There's a few reasons. So one of the things why I decided not to go down that road is because it's kind of scary how good marketing is getting, because it's literally a science. They're getting it down to a science where people can't really tell why they're buying these things. It's like brainwashing people, honestly, at this point. And I really didn't want to be a part of that. The other reason is because corporations are greedy. And I didn't want to make someone else rich. If I'm going to put a ton of effort into a career, I might as well work on my own success instead of making someone else successful. So those are the reasons why I kind of walked away from there. And I had a bad experience. I actually applied for a corporate position at Levi Strauss. And I went through months and months of interviews with a ton of top executives in the company. And I had to make a presentation about shopping patterns with Gen Z. And I had to give that presentation to 2 or 3 executives. And I got notified after 3 months of interviewing that I didn't get the job, but I was good enough. My work was good enough to steal. So I found out later on that they took my entire presentation. The hiring manager took the whole presentation and actually gave the presentation to the entire company. So that was fun. So I just lost faith in wanting to climb the corporate ladder. I actually don't want to do that anymore unless it's my own corporation. So marketing actually turned into photography because it was just such a bad experience I had with a photographer when I was getting married. And my toxic trait is just, I can do it better. So after that bad experience, I was like, I can do it better. And I learned everything that there is about photography, started doing it as a hobby, quickly was able to take on clients, and within a year made six figures. So I ran a very successful photography business. And what I really liked about it is that my talent was the sales pitch. Like, you could just look at my work and that sold it for people. And just the experience, like I said, I really enjoy talking with people, and most of the photography business is just getting people comfortable, because most people don't like to be in front of a camera. And so I was really good at doing that. And when it comes to like the sales aspect of the business, it was such an easy sell, because I'm doing all the right things. I'm taking care of my client. I'm working on like having the best photos and all that, that when it came to like clients buying photos, it was just easy. I didn't need to be a salesperson. Like, that's something that I don't enjoy. I don't enjoy like selling things to people. And a lot of people misconstrue that, because like I said, I have a marketing degree, and a lot of people think marketing is just sales. Like, sales is one umbrella under marketing, but sales does not equal marketing, or marketing doesn't equal sales, whatever. So anyway, got into photography, and then there was a couple things that happened that got me involved in politics. One of the things was COVID, because nothing in COVID made sense to me. At first, I was like, okay, 2 weeks, let's do this mask. I felt like I was being a part of, trying to save my community. I was like, I'm going to do all the right things. And then, quickly I realized, oh, okay, this seems strange. I definitely was never anti-vax, but when they started trying to push a vaccine on people that wasn't properly tested, I was like, no, that's where I draw the line. So I actually was working retail at the time as an assistant manager, and everyone else that got vaccinated, they didn't have to wear their mask, but I refused to vaccinate. So I had to wear my mask. It was a way for the company to like publicly shame us, even though now we know that the vaccine does nothing. But yeah, so that frustrated me, that whole experience during COVID, because I'm like, my body, my choice, right? And then a couple years later, Roe v. Wade comes around, and now Democrats are saying my body, my choice. And I'm like, where was that 2 years ago for COVID? Because you guys were forcing all of these medical interventions on us. Where was that? And now, and it was like flip-flop for Republicans. It was my body, my choice during COVID, but now they're saying, I'm going to tell you what to do with your body. And trust me, I'm not here to the abortion topic I know is heated, and I don't think anyone's changing their mind at this point. So it's okay if you disagree with me. I know people are going to disagree, and it's okay. I am pro-choice in the first trimester, because a lot of people don't plan to be pregnant. And it's like, oh, well, be on birth control. A lot of women are on birth control, and it's not 100% effective. Or what happens if someone forces themselves on you? There's so many different things that could happen. And I don't feel right telling a woman you need to carry that child if they did everything in their power to prevent it. So, that's just that. It's between them and God and their doctor. After the first trimester, that's where I think there definitely could be restrictions. But we can't have restrictions too high where it prevents doctors from saving the life of the mother or even questioning life-saving care. So, but that is like a whole nother topic. But moral of the story, I am my body, my choice across the board. Okay. And in all of that, I realize that there's hypocrisy on both sides of the aisle. Like, you get to pick and choose when it's your body. And then other times you get to choose when you're forcing something on someone. And that's just not right to me. So from there, I was like, okay, I'm done with party labels. And I had voted Republican in like the previous election. I don't remember if it was completely down ballot Republican. I just don't remember. So from there, though, I was like, okay, I'm going to go into elections. I don't care about party. If it's a good Republican, I'm going to vote for them. If it's a good Democrat, I'll vote for them. And I really did my research, and I voted all across the ballot for the next election. So that's where I basically, I became an independent at that point after seeing that hypocrisy. Now, what actually got me more involved in politics, I actually started at the local level. A lot of people, like, it's opposite. They kind of trickle down. They start at the federal level and realize that a lot of things that happen are at the local level. And it was completely by accident. My homestead was not filed properly, not on my part. It was my town. They didn't file it. And so we got a bill after our first year of living in our home, got a bill that our property taxes were double what they should have been. And so we had to correct that. And after in that process, even after it was corrected, I was like, what the hell are we paying for? My taxes were so high, and they still are so high. I can't handle it. And so I started going line by line, what am I paying for? And that's when I started going to local meetings, because I'm a very giving person. I tithe my 10%, and if there's ever a cause or something or an event, I really do try to give as much as I can, but I like to know where my money's going. So I actually still tithe to a church that I haven't been to in years because I moved. But I know that church is trustworthy, and I know that they're using that money wisely. And I haven't been able to find a church in my area that I really trust with God's money, really. But anyway, so that's kind of how I am with money. So when I saw my property taxes, I was like, okay, I want to know what I'm spending my money on. And so I go to my local meetings, and I quickly realize, holy crap, these people have no idea what they're doing. They have no idea what they're doing. And I quickly started getting so frustrated. I'm like, none of these people know how to budget. None of these people listen to any of their residents. What is going on? And funny story, this is actually really funny. I'm not going to name names, but the person, I live in a village. So it's basically your city mayor. I have a village president. At the time, the village president actually got censured, which is an ethics violation. It really means nothing other than public shame, public embarrassment. He got caught in the basement of the Legion. So that, the Legion supports veterans. He's not a veteran, but he wears a veteran hat, which that's not what I'm getting at, but just another, telltale sign of who he is. I find it so disrespectful. But so he was found just a few days before the election in the basement of the Legion with someone who wasn't his wife. The door was unlocked. Someone walked in on them. And so he got censured because he was on council, and then he was running for president. So he ended up still getting elected because mail-in ballots were already in. So that was unfortunate. So that was a fun 2 years. And he wasn't allowed to run again because he didn't pay his campaign. You have to pay $50 or something when you open your campaign or whatever it was. And he didn't pay that. And when you pay that, you can't run for office again. So he wanted to run, but he couldn't. And that just kind of explains government for you. These people they don't know anything about government. You really, I'm getting ahead of myself at this point, but I feel like government is full of people who are willing to deal with the craziness. There's so many good people that should be in government because they know what to do. They know how to budget. They know how to listen to people. They're not corrupt. But then you look at all the chaos and you're like, I don't want to be a part of that. Why would I want to be in government? So we're just kind of left with the leftovers in government who are willing to put up with the craziness. And, Citizens United that allowed all this money and politics isn't helping. And man. Okay, I'm kind of getting off topic. So let's get back to my note cards, okay? So, so why am I doing this episode today? Like I said, my birthday's coming up. And I just thought it would be so cool to kind of go through this last year. I think I actually skipped ahead. So I talked about why I got into politics. Also, I just want to add too, in terms of the local government, I did actually run for village president this last year. It was such a last minute decision. I was waiting to see if anyone else with a brain would, it's so harsh, but someone else that I felt like was a good candidate. I was waiting to see if anyone else would run, and no one else did that I thought would really spend my money wisely. And so like the day before, I went out, got signatures to get on the ballot. And I lost by 29 votes, which actually is remarkable. And I knew going into it that if my career is going to be in politics, that if I didn't win, that this would be a stain on my reputation. Because people, and they do it, when people don't like me, they look me up and they see that I lost the election and they say, oh, she couldn't even win an election. But when you actually hear everything I was dealing with, it is actually a miracle I got that close. People in my town all the time are like, man, you were so close. That is like such an accomplishment that you got that close. Because it's a nonpartisan race. So there was 3 of us. And even though there was no party labels, people pretty much knew where we were. There was far left Democrat, far right Republican, and then there was me in the middle. And the other 2 were both on council before. So they're technically incumbents. Like they have the name recognition because they're already in office. I was also up against censorship because my competitor ran the local Facebook group that everyone gets their news from. So she controlled the narrative. So she allowed people to post in there lies about me. She banned me from the group until like the day before the election. So I couldn't even defend myself. And she would speak like we talked. It was just the craziest thing. She's like, oh yeah, Anna thinks this. And it's like, why are you speaking on my behalf? Like talk about your own campaign. And all her friends would stalk me, and she started stealing all of my policies. It was insane. And the ones that she didn't want to steal because they were too obvious, she just like badmouthed it. Like, oh, she can't even do that. Like there was one. It was that I said that I wanted to do monthly office hours, because when you go up for a public comment, like you have 4 minutes and you have to talk to everyone. And a lot of people I hear don't want to do that. They can't, they have a fear of talking in public and stuff like that. And I didn't want people to have a time limit just to talk to me about stuff in the town. So I said, I'm going to do monthly town halls, whatever, or coffees. And her and her friends were like, she can't do that. What authority does she have? Where is she even going to do it? And I'm like, literally anywhere. We have a coffee shop, a tea shop in town. I'm sure they would happily let me sit there and bring them customers if people want to come talk to me. Like, come on. And then what's funny, so she wins the election and now they're doing monthly coffees. So it went from, oh, Anna can't do that to now they're doing it. So it's funny, even when you lose an election, you still very much can influence policy. And I think that's so, so great. So my whole thing is I wanted to look at the water prices. They never wanted to touch it, my competitors. Now they're looking into water prices because I may or may not run, because it's every 2 years, this election. So I may or may not run in 2 years again. And so she's trying to do everything that I campaigned on, which is fine with me. I'm fine with that because that's what I wanted. I wanted someone to address these issues, and now someone is addressing it just for fear that I'm going to run and beat her in the next election. So it was a great learning experience for me. You know, like I said, it sucks that I lost, but I take it as a win. I think it was great. So I did that. I also sued my town because they were hiding public records from me, and we ended up settling. They paid all of my attorney fees, court fees, and I got hundreds of records that they wrongfully denied me. So that was fun. Not really. It was a year and a half of my life that I'll never get back. But that is like, if I was to do my life all over again, I always say I would be a lawyer that specializes in the Freedom of Information Act and the Open Meetings Act, because they're probably the most violated laws by our government and the most easy to sue over because it's so black and white. Like in my state, I believe it's 5 business days they have to respond to your request. For the federal government, it's 20. They have 20 days to respond to your request. If they don't, then they're in violation of federal law. I'm not a lawyer, obviously. I'm just saying my experience. So yeah, but my life is what it is now. I'm not going to law school for another 3 years. Because I have my master's degree in marketing, and I just don't want to feel like that's starting all over again. And I'm turning 28. I just need to like move on with my life at this point. But it's good to dream every now and then. But okay, so one note card down. I went on tangents, but it's okay. Okay. So, like I said, after those experiences, I became independent. So, what I did is I promised myself, I said, okay, I'm going to look at candidates regardless of party. And I think Marianne Williamson was one of the first ones that kind of came out, said she was running. So I started watching her stuff. I think I read a few, like the intro of her book or something. And I was watching her on live one day, and there was something she said about the border that I didn't like. And so I was like, okay. So I went to the next person, and I actually quickly found RFK Jr. I was like, that's cool. So I started reading The Real Anthony Fauci. I got halfway through it. That book is a monster. Okay. So I got halfway through that, and then I quickly found he did a Joe Rogan podcast. So I watched the Joe Rogan podcast, and that was so eye-opening. And I actually had to watch it twice to really consume everything. And initially, I started researching to try to prove him wrong, because obviously the hot button topic is like vaccines cause autism or they don't cause autism, whatever. And when he said, after watching it a second time, and I heard him say, I spent my whole life trying to get mercury out of fish, but no one called me anti-fish. And I was like, okay. Because like initially when I was researching, I researched vaccines and autism, and nothing was coming up. Of course, that's by design. But then I just went to Google Scholar and I typed in mercury and autism, and a bunch of stuff came up. And in fact, like I think it's right on the CDC website that mercury is a neurotoxin that leads to neurodevelopmental problems. Interesting. And that some vaccines, the multi-dose flu vaccine still has mercury in it. So I think like 20 years ago, they took the mercury out of vaccines, which if it didn't cause autism, if it wasn't hurting people, why would they do that? Okay, but they replaced it with aluminum, which is also a neurotoxin. But so now they say that the childhood vaccines don't have mercury, so they're safe. But they don't, like I said, talk about that. Okay, the flu vaccine has mercury in it. And, they're giving this flu vaccine to pregnant moms, and it's proven that these metals are found in the placenta and are going through the placenta and are probably going to the baby. So it's just, I went down a whole rabbit hole. Moral of the story, I went down a whole rabbit hole about this. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's telling the truth. He's telling the truth. So remember, I started following him when he was running as a Democrat. So that I wasn't just following him because he was independent. It was really because I believed in what he was saying. And he was my body, my choice across the board. So I appreciated that. And, I watched the Republican primary debate, started following a bunch of those Republicans. I really liked Vivek, but at a point, I don't know, I got Obama vibes from him. Like, he's such a smooth talker. He's such a smooth talker. And I just wonder if he's all talk. And that's the thing is, like, I do not think you need to be in office your whole life to get experience, but maybe something would have been nice, because we don't know if he is all talk or if he's also action. So now he's running for Ohio governor. We don't really know what he would do in office. So, and he's just going for like really high positions. So I don't know. We'll just have to see with that. And obviously there was no Democrat primary debate. So womp womp for me to look into. But so at this point, I start following Kennedy. I started going to events, started volunteering for the campaign. And I'm still running my photography business at this point. At this point, I don't think I was making political content. This is actually in 2023, so 2 years ago is when I found Kennedy. And it wasn't until, actually, I could tell you what it was when I started making political content. I joined X November, because it's right on my profile, November 2023. And why that month? Why then? Because I was on TikTok and saw a video of Elon Musk telling the CEO of Disney to fuck off, basically. And I was like, okay, I can deal with that. And I felt like, okay, maybe X is a safe place now. Maybe there really is free speech. TikTok, there's not completely free speech. So I went to X and I started posting as a anonymous profile, actually. And I think some of my earliest posts, I was just trying to talk to people about like berberine and inositol, because those are the things that help treat my PCOS. And I just wanted other people to know about it. So it started with that. And then, so within that range somewhere is when it started becoming political. And again, I'm running my photography business and I didn't want to be associated with politics, because I feel like once you like brand yourself as a political creator, like you just don't want your business to be political. Like that's kind of dangerous. So, yeah, so I was just doing an anonymous account. I'm running the photography business and I'm seeing all this propaganda about Kennedy, and I'm just like, why is it so hard for people to just tell the truth? Like, why is that such a difficult thing to ask for? And, like a lot of people lie about a lot of politicians, like, Trump, right? Like the media lies about him, whatever. But he has a machine behind him. He has so many followers that will come to his rescue. He has Fox News and he has his own social media platform. What did Kennedy have? He had nothing. So at a point, I'm like, okay, I feel like I need to step in. And I'm still doing this under like an anonymous account. I mean, you could see my face. So if people, my photography clients, if they saw it, they would recognize me, whatever. But so I started like posting videos and educational content like, okay, this is what they're saying. Here's the truth. And that started to take off. People loved it. I mean, when you think about it, there's so many like health freedom movement people that have been in the game for years and years, and they don't have a lot of media help. So I think that's just why it took off. Like someone's finally helping get the word out and stuff. And I met so many incredible people. And, like I said, I started making content, like debunking the propaganda about Kennedy, and people actually really liked the truth. I was really shocked by that. I was like, okay, like, social media, people love like clickbaity stuff and don't really care if people lie or exaggerate. And yet people really liked the educational content. I'm like, okay, maybe things are changing. Like maybe people are waking up, And like this content I was doing, I just felt really fulfilled. In my photography business, like I was and is, I guess. So I'm good at photography. I'm really good at it. And like I had people traveling to me from out of state because I was so good at it and just provided a great experience. But I just think it's probably like an undiagnosed ADHD thing. Like I just get bored. And so I just started getting bored because it's like the same thing day in and day out. Where politics, it was like a new business for me. And politics is always changing. So I thought. Now I kind of realize it's kind of the same thing, like left, right, same bullshit, whatever. But yeah, so at the time I'm like, man, this is really fulfilling. It's different and every day is going to be different. I never know what tomorrow is going to hold. So I decided to put my photography business on hold, and ultimately I've pretty much terminated it at this point. I still have like my business. If I ever do want to start it back up, if that's ever an option for me. So that brings me to my birthday last year. And I posted this on X. I said, I'm 27 today and still have not figured my life out. Many people my age go through a quarter life crisis because we are told from such a young age that we have to figure everything out. So we do the things. We graduate high school and go to college. Once graduated, we realized that promise of a comfy job was broken. And actually, we don't want to do that thing we thought of when we were in 5th grade. Isn't that crazy? I think I was in 5th grade when I was asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it's like, why are we like, can we just let kids be kids? And I think that's caused such a problem in my generation now because we're told like start thinking about college in the future, like at such a young age. And then we actually go and do that thing that we thought we knew everything in 5th grade. And now we're older and we're like, wait a minute, do I actually want to do that thing? I don't know. So then I say, I even got my master's degree in marketing thinking that would help me find a good job, but it didn't. Everyone wants 10 to 20 years experience. Along the way, I found something I love. I love market research and research in general. Spotting marketing tricks, educating people, and I have a love-hate relationship with politics. Knowledge is power. I truly believe that. I do run a photography business that focuses on empowering women. I was always nervous to share that because people don't take it seriously or they make it into something it's not. That's why I never had my full name on my profile. But today I am branding myself. Today I am deciding I want to take my content creation seriously and make it my new business. I also want to expand into my own research projects. The one thing that makes me nervous about content creation is the idea that people will go through every little thing in your life to write a story about you. I've been on the internet since I was 10 years old. When Facebook brings up my memories, I literally cringe. The media will use everything against you and take it out of context and out of the time period. But this can't hold me back from creating an amazing platform for educating others. Everything in my life has brought me here, no matter how cringe it was. I did turn on tips in my profile if you want to support my adventure. Oh, man. So that was just a year ago. Man, so much has happened in a year. I mean, look, we have the show now. Here's the thing too about that post. It was just such a big deal because I knew when I made that post, put my name on it and said, like, I'm basically like a political content creator and put all my opinions out and all this. It basically sealed my fate for the future. I doubt if this doesn't work out that I can just go quietly back into marketing or photography or something because my whole life is on the internet and people can see my political beliefs and businesses don't want your political beliefs and stuff. And, you know, it just looks bad. People will take like one thing I said that they didn't like and try to use it against me, whatever. I mean, we see it all the time. Like people will like call someone's work. I feel like Data Republican on X went through this recently. They found out who she was, someone doxed her, and then they all started calling her employer and she had to leave. She had to quit or whatever happened. And so I just don't know if if I can ever go back from this. Like, I feel like in that moment, I sealed my fate that my life is in politics now. So hopefully, so far so good. Hopefully many years from now, I'm still okay with that. And also in the last year, I ran Kennedy Debunked, a website where I wrote articles debunking the propaganda about Kennedy and made it like just a one-stop shop for people. I also made my videos, but it was nice to have like a website for people to go and find all the common misconceptions about Kennedy. And then, since I wasn't really making money, because I had money left over from my photography business and did a couple clients, like, kind of getting out of the business. And when I did the Kennedy Debunked, I put a link in my profile that people can support that. So thankfully, I'm so blessed that website was paid for by people who supported that. And then I was lucky enough, I'm probably going to butcher the name of it. I think it's the American Small Business League. Yeah, I think that's the name. They paid me to make a couple videos for them to have at conferences and stuff. My face isn't in it or anything. I just do a voiceover. But so that helped pay my bills for a little bit. And yeah, it was just like really rocky for a while. It was really rocky. I really didn't know where the next paycheck was coming from. It was really scary, but that's just when I started photography, it was the same way. I didn't have a paycheck. I was just like, going through it. I lied. I did have a paycheck. I worked retail while I was starting photography. But here, not really. With this, I was just like, I'm just gonna have to figure it out. So thankfully, like, God has everything planned out. The minute that like I needed money is when I started making money on the TikTok Creator Fund and the X Creator Fund. So that's really how I've been doing everything, is just making money off that. And it's basically like the amount of views you get, to oversimplify it. So I haven't had to like ask anyone. I do have subscriptions on my X page and Substack. I don't really pay attention to Substack though. I should. I just post the podcast on Substack, but I should. I was thinking about doing a newsletter, but I already do so much. So we'll see. We'll see if people, you can tell me if you want that. So that it's probably not good to talk about money. Like every time I talk about money, people are like, I can't believe you're so greedy. Like your job's easy. Like you don't need money. And it's like, okay, we all consume content online. And even though it looks free, it's not free for people to make. Like I have bills to pay. Okay. And I don't, like I said, going back to the photography business, I'm not someone who likes to sell things. So my hope is just that I give so much value that people just want to support my work who can. I totally understand that times are tough, and I would never like put pressure on people like, you have to support me. Like I always say, even just engaging in my content, like commenting, liking, sharing, that stuff helps me, So that's kind of how I'm living on the edge right now. So the podcast, I make zero money, unless I just don't. I think the only thing that I make money is like when I post the podcast to X, but most people watch the podcast off of X. And so if you're listening on Spotify, on YouTube and stuff, I am not being paid. Eventually, I think it's if I get like, I don't know, 20,000 watch hours, like they'll start paying me or something. But as of right now in filming this, like I'm not being paid for the podcast, but I truly love doing this. I really love sitting down with people, getting to know them. And I also feel like I'm contributing to society. Like, I feel like I'm really helping make change. And it just takes just the right person to hear just the right story. And, like when I sat down with Dustin Kittle, like a month ago, he got a call the same day that he needed to be in DC. Now that hasn't happened yet, but I'm just saying, like, the right people heard it and it's in the works. Like, hopefully we can get him some help and get farmers help. And that's truly my goal here. Like, not only to, get the right people at the right places to fix issues, but also for people, I've done a show already about someone that's running for governor so people can learn, about some candidates and stuff. And I will say, I have turned down quite a bit of money too. There have been people who've reached out to me and I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, the things people want me to post. And there's actually good intention things too. People have asked me to post in exchange for money. And I'm like, I'm a horrible content creator in this way, a business content creator, because I've been offered money before to post certain things. And I'm like, why would I be paid to post that? It's just the right thing to do. Like, it was just like things that I would have posted anyway. And someone saying, I'll pay you for it. Like, I always say people can support me on my website. I have a link that anyone can go and put a custom amount in to support me. And I always say, like, if you want to, do it then, because the minute that I'm like feeling like I have to like get paid for the content, I feel like I'm not myself and it's not original and it's not authentic. So, as time goes on, I have to figure it out. I have to come up with a sustainable business model, because working off the creator fund, it's been okay. It's been fine. I've been very blessed, but that's not sustainable because it takes anything. Like, actually right now on X, I realize I'm being spammed. Whoever they is, when you say something they don't like, they will, company whatever, can pay to have these bots spam your account, and then you lose reach because they think your account is spam too. So it just takes one thing. I could wake up and TikTok could take down my account. Who knows? So it's not sustainable for me to just live off those things. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. But it's worth it to me to figure it out, because again, I feel like I'm doing really important work. Just this last week, someone posted a video that looked like there was an oil spill in the Grand River, which attaches to Lake Michigan. And it's like 2.5 hours away from me, but it's still Michigan and it's still my Great Lakes. I'm actually wearing a Great Lakes sweater right now because I love the Great Lakes, and water connects all of us. So someone that says that they walk through there daily posted a video saying, look, like it smells awful. I feel like I can't breathe. There's something here. And he tried to call 911 and they told him, like, do you need an ambulance? And he said, no. And that was that. I don't think anyone actually went out. So someone tagged me in that video. This was truly a team effort. Okay. If I wasn't tagged in it, I probably wouldn't have seen it. So someone tags me in it, or a couple people, I don't remember. And I go watch it. And then I'm like, is anyone cleaning it up? So I look at, I Google it, see if there's any news sources about it. And there was nothing. So I'm like, okay. So I called Grand Rapids. They said they didn't even know if it was in their jurisdiction. So then they send me to the county parks. They said, well, the park is ours, but we don't like have jurisdiction of the river. I don't know what to tell you. And I actually recorded that conversation and posted it. And it's terrifying how awful government is. Not surprising, but yeah, she was just like, I don't know what to tell you. And trying to figure out like, well, who could have done it? And I'm like, that's a secondary issue. We need to figure out how to clean it, And I ended up finally, we agreed that Eagle would be the proper, that's basically our state's EPA. They would be the proper one to call. And I'm thinking she's going to do it because she's a government employee. It's her park. She knows how to deal with these people. I don't. But she didn't want to. So I figured it out and I called them, reported it, and my video blew up about it, which I really don't think if my video blew up, they would have cared. And they found out, they went out and they found out transformers blew and seeped into the sewer, which goes right into the Grand River. And so that's what it was. It was like oil from from multiple transformers, and they were able to remediate it. So that is why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I really do feel like what I am doing is helping. And so if that means like I'm not getting a big paycheck, like I'm fine with that, because like I just am so fulfilled with what I'm doing. Now let's go back a little bit. Probably 6 months-ish ago, I don't know. I feel like most of my content was about Kennedy. And like I said, like he had a big propaganda machine behind him and there was really no one speaking the truth. A lot of news stations weren't letting him on. Fox News every now and then. But yeah, so I felt like most of my content was about Kennedy, but I wanted to diversify my content for 2 reasons. Number one, because Kennedy will come and go, but the work needs to continue. So I don't know. It could literally be anything, whether it's just that, he's old and passes away, knock on wood. We don't want that. But, or if there's some big scandal that comes out about him, like I just felt like I needed to diversify if I really like wanted to do this long-term, start thinking long-term. The second reason why I felt like I needed to diversify my content, man, this is kind of hard to say, to be honest with you, but I felt like I was getting into the cult side of the movement or the following, the independent movement or the Kennedy movement, whatever. And every political movement has a cult side to it. Okay, Democrats or Republicans, like there is a cult side to every one of these movements where they think that their leader can do no harm and that they're perfect and they'll come out at bat for them. So like my whole thing is like, I'm going to tell the truth. And even though I supported Kennedy, I'm not going to like lie on his behalf or support things that I don't agree with. So I started over the last year also like growing and not just being about like debunking the propaganda. I'm like, I just want to do what's right. So there were certain things that I'm like, I'm not going to support Kennedy on that one. And people would come out after me. And it was, I mean, I'm like pretty used to how the internet works at this point. Like I just like, whatever. But I was just like, wow, this is dangerous. Like these people are losing their minds and I don't really want to be a part of that. So, even it's hard because if you're independent, you're kind of part of the independent movement, right? But like, doesn't independent mean you're not part of any movement? Like you just go where the good ideas are. Like if there's a good idea on the left, good idea on the right, libertarian, whatever, that's what I'm going to support. But yet there's an independent movement and it can still be just as bad as right or left, where people are very tribal and they think their way or the highway and that their leader can do no harm. I don't know. It just, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because like I thought like us independents were supposed to call out things no matter where they came from. And it was just like eye-opening when it wasn't even something that I said against Kennedy. I specifically know what it was. There was an allegation, a sexual allegation that he touched a nanny. And after reading the article about it, all I said all I said is that I'm not going to comment on it until Kennedy talks about it. And people started ripping into me that I wasn't just supporting him. And I'm like, I don't even know his side of the story. Like, why would I just blindly support him if I don't even know his side? And they started, like, I was in a lot of group chats at the time, and a lot of people started saying, well, that story's from 20 years old. It's like, it's 20 years old. So what does this girl know? Like, she probably doesn't remember anything. It didn't happen. She's just making it up. And I'm like, a lot of women actually get sexually abused, assaulted, and don't come out until 20 years later. That's actually, or if ever. Just because it happened 20 years ago doesn't mean it didn't happen. And I wasn't even saying that it happened. All I was saying is I want to hear from Kennedy and see what he has to say. And yeah, I actually like left a bunch of group chats at the time, and I was like, okay, that was my first sign that I need to be truly independent. And I'm still trying to find my balance because like health really impacts me, my own health journey. I love talking about health, but I don't know. Like I do a lot of fact checks, and I do like calling out senators and who's funding them. I really enjoy doing that. And I just like talking about like news headlines and my opinion. I throw in my opinion here and there. Like I'm still trying to find my balance. So maybe one day I'll figure it out, but it's not today. I'll tell you that. But I thought it'd be fun to go through my top posts this past year on X and on TikTok, because it's just so funny. It is just so funny how like all over the place it is, especially TikTok. So my number one post this last year on TikTok, it's so silly. It's literally a video I did about the Duolingo owl, because they came out, I think it was like the Super Bowl. They said the Duolingo owl is dead. And I was like, guys, I have such bad news for you. The Duolingo owl is gone. And literally that's my number one post. Like, come on. My next one, this was one I did like really early on. I said, did Taylor Swift encourage people to vote? That video was all about, because she literally, Taylor Swift at the time just posted like, go out and vote, I think for the primary elections. And people started getting at her that like, she's telling people to vote Democrat. And Democrats were like, see, she's telling you to go vote Democrat. I'm like, she literally just said, go out and vote in the primaries. She didn't actually say it. Like, we all know she's Democrat, but that's not what she said. And so that was like one of the videos. So that was my second best video the past year. The next one was about RFK Jr. eating McDonald's. We will never know if he actually did it, but he looked miserable in that picture. If you guys remember him on Trump's plane, that was hilarious. My next one was calling out, I said, Washington, come get your girl. Who's the senator for Washington? It's too small. Man, I don't remember. Wait, it's right here. Patty Murray. So I called her out and said her funding from Big Pharma. The next one, remember North Carolina, he's running for attorney general. Oh, yeah. So I think he won too. Jeff Jackson, because he literally said, like, I support you guys on TikTok. And then he went and voted for the TikTok ban. We're like, what the hell? And then he ran for attorney general and got it, which I'm like, guys, why would you elect him? He literally lied to your face. Then it's a fact-checking video. And then it was one about Nicole Shanahan saying that she's going to fund people who are against the health movement. And then on X, my number one post by far, the day that Trump took office and signed like 75 executive orders, I stayed up for hours. My husband was asleep and I'm like, I got to get this done. And I so badly was like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. And I'm like, no, I need to do it today, because this stuff, if I don't do it today while it's trending, it won't do anything. And all this hard work will be for nothing. So I stayed up late and I did a huge thread on X of every single I summarized every single executive order Trump signed on his first day in office, and it went to like 27 million views, literally. And my following doubled on X overnight, like just crazy. So people love that. I also, the next ones are like Kennedy stuff. So the next post that did really well, my second best post this past year, was a thread detailing RFK Jr.'s history, because, people were like, he's unqualified, he's anti-vax. And I'm like, okay, here's actually like all of his qualifications. You can try to call him crazy. That's fine. But you can't say he's unqualified when you actually look at everything. So that did really well. I found an old clip of Kennedy speaking to Congress in like 2008. Oops, hit the mic. Sorry. In like 2008. And I said, some people definitely did not expect me to dig up this whole clip. This is him testifying about the harmful effects of mercury. And the Democrat senator was like, oh, okay. Like he personally invited him and everything. And now he voted against him when it came to confirming him, it's just hilarious. Politics is just a show. The next one was calling out Bernie Sanders for being paid by Big Pharma. And then calling out Bill Cassidy, I can't stand that guy. If you're in Louisiana, please, oh my gosh, get him out. Please get him out. I can't stand him. He's just owned by Big Pharma. Anyway, let's get back to the note card. I reflected on my top posts, fun stuff. And then, like I said, I'm still figuring out at this point, what do I want my content to look like? Like I said, just this last week, I posted a video talking about my experience with Stephanie Spear. She's Kennedy's deputy deputy press secretary. And she was with him through the campaign. And I have not had good experiences with her. I've had a lot of other people contact me saying that they haven't had good experiences. But posting that video, I knew was going to seal my fate, breaking away from like the independent movement, like I said. It really, posting that video truly, I think, made me independent, and I'm still kind of working through it right now. I knew that people were going to come at me, and I really had to like weigh the good and bad. Like, yes, people are going to come at me, but it was the truth. And I hate when people say, this is my truth, but it's true that like my truth is that I had a bad experience with her. It's very common for people to have bad experiences with her. And I think she's limiting Kennedy. I don't know. I don't want to rehash things, but I knew posting that people were going to say, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just clickbaiting. You're doing this. You're doing that. I knew that was going to be the response. But if I'm going to be an advocate for the truth, then I can't let that hinder me. So I went through it back and forth in my head if I should post it so many times. And like I said, I just felt like I had to if I wanted to be truthful. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay. Last card, guys. Last card. So what does the future hold? Honestly, I don't really know. I know that it's probably going to be in politics. And even that, as an independent, as someone who's truly independent, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for me, honestly, because I can't really like work in some administration because I've shit on both Republicans and Democrats. No one wants to like pay me. And, like I have like bills to pay, and I'm not like living like the high life, like I just need like to pay my water bill, I would love to get some more land just to live off the land. But, I think about it often, like what the future holds, because, a lot of people who start out independent, they actually leave the independent movement or whatever because it's not profitable, because there's not money in it. And I truly don't care about money. Like, I need enough to pay my bills, and after that, I don't give a crap. Like, I'm not looking to like have all the fancy things. Like, I really don't care. I just want my bills paid. And after that, I said, I just want to tell the truth. And, it's very profitable, especially Republican content creators. It's very profitable to be a Republican content creator, and then Democrat, obviously. It's not profitable to be independent. And I'm putting myself in a position that's very tight, but on purpose, because I want to be loyal to the truth. So if I get like my funding from the creator funds and through subscriptions, like little subscriptions here and there, I'm not like only reliant on like one person to tell me what I have to post or not post. Like, I'm finding people who want to support me because they want the truth too, and they appreciate my perspective. So, yeah, like I said, like I would like to like work even. I always think about it. Like, I love Michigan so much, and there's so many problems with the state. And I think if I was to join a party ever again, after everything I said about being independent, if I was to join a party, it would be the Republican Party, because I think they can be saved. I think the Democratic Party is too far gone to be saved. I think there needs to be basically a new party that comes up in its place, because they just will not budge from not only unpopular policies, but just really bad policies, like immoral policies. Like, like, how can you just erase a woman? Like, how can you give puberty blockers to children? Like, that's child abuse. And I just think they're too far gone. They're not willing to let those things go, even though they're unpopular and going to continue losing them elections. Like, I don't get it. So I think if a party can be saved, it's the Republican Party. And honestly, I've had a lot of people ask me, like, okay, I'm an independent. Like, should I run as an independent? And I'm like, no, actually, you shouldn't. You should run under a party. Like, pick one, and that is primarily like your area. Like, if your area is mainly Democrat, run as a Democrat. If your area is mainly Republican, run as a Republican. Because unfortunately, like 40% of people vote down ballot. I think I would have to look at those numbers again, but it's a very high percentage. And I don't know if every state's like this, but my state, at the very top, you can literally click like, I want to vote all Republican, I want to vote all Democrats. So they're not even looking at names and stuff. So the independents are going to lose just because of that. So I say run under a party. Doesn't mean you have to subscribe to every single thing that party subscribes to. There's moderates in the parties and stuff too. So I don't know. I think maybe one day maybe I'll get into the Republican Party and try to change it at the local level, because Michigan, we just don't have like good candidates. I just look around and I'm like, this is the best we have. And that's kind of the story for everybody. I know that's kind of the story. Every state, every municipality, every level, it's just like 333 million people in this country, and this is the best we got. And so like, we need to start building people up. Like, we need to start identifying good, like local leaders, like mayors and stuff, and building them up to Congress and then governor and then maybe president, and we just don't have that, especially in my state. It's just like, man, it's just so bad. Like, we just had a big Senate race, and it really was just, again, like the lesser of two evils. They were both horrible options. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, even if you had a semi-good option, they would have won. But so like I said, I'm going to keep doing my thing. I love doing the podcast. I love making my content. I love fact checking and everything. But I don't think it's necessarily sustainable what I'm doing right now, unless I get like, if I can get some sponsors or something for the podcast, then I think it would be sustainable to have like a consistent income. But I do think I need to like get something of a job. Like, this is my job. I don't want people to think I don't work. Like, I'll make like a 2-3 minute video, but it takes me like 3 hours to research for it because I want to make sure I have all my facts straight. But maybe in the future, I do large part consider myself an entrepreneur. I have so many business ideas. I have one. I don't want to give too much away, but I've been sitting on one for a long time about how we can get better information to people where like I don't want to give too much away. Dang it. Just to help people get more informed about everyone that's going to be on their ballot. That's good. We'll leave it at that. But yeah. And then, yeah, I just want to say for everyone that does support me, I don't want it to seem like, gosh, I know it sounds icky. Like I said, I don't want to be like a salesperson, and I don't want it to seem like I just did this episode like asking for money, because I really truly did not. I wanted to reflect on this last year, and just be open with you guys about where I'm at. But I really do want to say thank you to those who support me, even if it's money or if it's not. Like I said, even just watching this, sharing, liking, commenting, all of that stuff really helps me. And it's going to allow me to stay independent and do this for a longer period of time. And especially people who subscribe to me. I have subscriptions on X and on Substack. I feel so bad for you guys because like I don't do any special content for my subscribers. Like they are literally just giving out of the kindness of their heart because they want to support my content. And I'm truly, truly thankful for everyone. And I know that's not possible for a lot of people to give. I know it's really tough times right now. And I'm so thankful for anything you do to support me, really, truly. And I hope that you get it back. Like, I hope that I can help your community in some way. I hope that we can get better politicians in office. I hope we can take down the fake news media. But I really think education is key. And that's why I just take the time to try to explain things to people who don't have the time. Our school system is awful. So we weren't taught a lot about government by design. They don't want us to know what's going on. So, but that's what I have for you guys. That's what I have. I really, like I said, I really appreciate everything you guys do. And we'll see where the next year takes us. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a wild ride. But thank you so much for watching and have a good week.